My name is Gene Jordan. I joined MAF in 1977, was signed to the country of Ecuador. I served in Ecuador for 22 years. My parents were missionaries in Ecuador. They actually took me to Ecuador when I was 4 months old. So I've always known about MAS. It was during high school that I decided that I would like to use my life to do something through missionary aviation. We would really be hard-pressed to do what we do without our local staff. We have people that work in many different aspects of our operation. When you spend every day in the hangar with these guys, with all kind of stuff happening, good weather, bad weather, you get pretty close and you get to know them. The one that meant the most to me was probably the guy that I learned and got to know in high school. And we became good friends. And then years later, when I arrived back in Ecuador, he was still there. Now I was a pilot, and he worked for me as it was, but really not. We worked together again. One day in the hangar, I gave him an airbrush to paint MAF on some boxes we were using, shuttling back and forth. He actually held the brush backwards and ran a row of paint right across his eyes. It was hilarious. He looked like a raccoon. We laughed till we couldn't stand up anymore. But I also saw him work through some pretty tough physical problems in his own life and stay very strong with him. I visited him a couple years ago, and he could hardly see anymore. He was not working anymore. And then I received news a couple months later that he had passed on and gone to heaven. But he knew Jesus as Savior. He recognized that. And I probably worked with him between high school days, 20, 25 years on and off. Very much admired who he was in the hangar and beyond the hangar. MAF has been around now for 75 years. I have not been around for all those 75 years, but for the years that I have been around, local staff have always been a part of our ministry. And when I hear the stories of the old guys, I mean the really old guys, we've always depended on local people in various different ways to help us in what we do and in cultures that aren't our cultures. Kind of like as if we had a transmission to a car and one gear was missing, that transmission wouldn't work. If we did not have our local people that just help us day in and day out, we'd grind to a halt.